Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second part of the series of video I'm doing about SED. If you didn't see the first part, I encourage you to watch it. And as always, the files I'm using in this video are in the description. I remind you that I will sometimes give you some little exercises. At that point, you can pause the video and try to solve them. And I definitely encourage you to try the command I'm using while watching, to try it for yourself in your own shell. So, some two little details I wanted to precise first, which are quite important, I think. The first one is be careful if you change in place symlinks, and it won't work as you expect. So to demonstrate that, I will create a symlink. Symlink script. So now I have a symlink script which point to the file script. So if you use sed, and if you try to change the symlink in place, you could think that you will change the target of the symlink, which is the script file. So let's try to do that. So the file script has only one line and I just deleted it. And now if I look at my files, you will see that symlink script is not a symlink anymore. It's just a file, and if I output the content, there is indeed nothing in it because I deleted the only line there was. But the target of the symlink, which was script, wasn't modified. So it's a pretty weird behavior, and that's why be very, very careful if you use sed with symlinks and if you change them in place with the option -i. Another thing I wanted to precise is you can use multiple files when you use sed, like for example, and sed will consider nginx.conf and pacman.log as the same file, which means that here I'm trying to display the first line and the last line of my input, which are two files. And sed will display only the first line of the first file and the last line of the last file you give as input. To have the first line of the first file, the last line of the first file, the first line of the last line, the last file, and the last line of the last file, you can use -s. And here I have the first line of HTTP, the last line of HTTP, the first line of pacman.log, and the last line of pacman.log. And it doesn't matter how many files you have, it will always behave like that. All right. Now let's see the most important command you can use with sed, which is the substitute command. So its pattern, it's the s command, and its pattern is s . So you can use the substitute command as like that, with a pattern and a replacement, and some flags if you want, some options. So what this substitute command do, it takes the pattern, search the pattern into the input you give to sed, and replace every first occurrence of each line with the replace you give. So for example, if I do that, sed will take every include, every first occurrence of include on each line of the input, and it will replace it with the replacement, which is exclude here. So if you look at the original nginx conf, you can see that there are 3 include at the beginning of the file. And now with the substitute command, I can replace the include with the exclude. You can use as well, if you want to reuse the pattern you use to replace things, you can use this character. And in that case, you will replace include by include minus exclude, as you can see on the screen. It's pretty practical if you want to reuse that. Of course, you can use a regular expression for that as well. And when I use regular expression, don't forget to use the extended one if you use a GNU sed, because otherwise you will have weird behaviors with some meta characters. So here I capture my pattern, and then I spit it out in my replacement. And it does exactly the same. What's important to understand as well with the substitute command is it only replaces every pattern matched with a replacement for the first pattern match on the line. So for example, if I do that, you will see that only the first I on each line is replaced by nothing, but only the first I. So for example, here the I of include was replaced by nothing, but the I of mime is still here. So to replace really everything in the file and every pattern on the line by its replacement, you can use the flag G for global. And this time, every I of your file are replaced by nothing. So they are deleted. Another flag which can be useful, combined with the option -n, which is silent output, as we saw in the previous video, to only display the line where the substitute was made. You can do that. So here I use the P flag for print. And only the line which had a substitute, like where the pattern was matched and replaced by the replacement, the pattern here is on and the replacement is off. It's only those lines who are displayed now. Another important thing concerning the S command or the substitute command, we use most of the time / as separator between the pattern and the replacement and the flag. But you can use many other characters except alphanumerical characters, otherwise it wouldn't really make sense. So, for example, if I include some URL in my pattern on my replacement, it would be a pain because I would need to escape, like we saw in the first video for the address pattern in our set script. If you use a URL in your pattern or your replacement, because they use a lot of slashes, you would need to escape all the slashes like that, because set doesn't know if your slash is part of your URL or if it's only a character which separates your pattern and your replacement. So instead you can replace, for example, the slash with this character. Why not? And you can, in that case, use as many slashes as you want in your pattern and your replacement. And here we just changed the http server.com to ftp example.com, as you can see here. Another interesting flag you might light is the flag W, which write into a file every substitute which were made, every line where a substitute was made. For example, oops. So if you do that, you still have an output, but you will have a new file sub, and in this file you will have only the line you made a substitute in. Last thing concerning substitute command, you can as well use the flag I to match patterns in a case-insensitive way, which means that the pattern won't differentiate uppercase and lowercase. So here I have a file which is called pacman.log, and we will replace every occurrence of ALPM, whatever the case, uppercase or lowercase, with pacman minus ALPM. And here we go. And it's interesting to notice that because we use, we reuse the pattern in our replacement, it really reuse the pattern found on the line and not the one we put in our command, because as you can see here, the ALPM is still uppercase. All right, so let's do some exercises now. Can you output the file nginx.conf with every on replaced by off in the file nginx.conf? So you can pause the video and try by yourself. Here's the solution. So you could first do that. Please try to do that. But the problem is you will replace every substring which are on. So for example, if you only wanted to switch things off and not necessarily have weird lines like that, we could do that as well. This time we only modify these two lines because they have a semicolon at the end of the line, as we did in our command. and this line is untouched. All right, another exercise. Can you output the file nginx.conf with every occurrence of index replaced with hello? So here's the solution. We could begin with that. And here we go. And don't forget the G flag, because without the G flag, this line wouldn't be full of hello, but only the first occurrence would be replaced. So we can try that without the G flag. And now you can see that the first occurrence of index was replaced, but not the other one. Another exercise, because this substitute comment is really important and it's really useful when you want to modify a file. Can you output only the line modified from the file nginx.conf with every occurrence of indexed replaced with hello? So here's the solution. It's a bit different because here we only want to output the line we modify, right? And here we go. We only have one line which matches the pattern index, so it's only this line which is output. Last exercise. No, sorry. Almost last exercise. Output the file nginx.conf entirely commented with this symbol. So this symbol needs to be at the beginning of each line. How would you do that? Here's the answer. This time you need to use regular expressions, and if you don't know how to create regular expression, I definitely invite you to watch my videos about grep, and you will learn all of that. So here we want to replace every beginning of the line with this symbol in the file nginx.conf. And here we go. We just commented the whole file. Very nice. Last exercise. Can you output the file nginx.conf with the string include replaced with exclude only on the line where the pattern nginx is not found? So it mixes a bit what we learned, what we saw, because maybe you didn't learn anything, but what we saw in the first video about sed and this video. So here's the answer. You can do sed. First, we search for nginx, so we need to have an address pattern. Then we want to substitute include to exclude. But here there is a problem because we want to replace include with exclude on the line where the pattern nginx is not found. So we need to reverse, to negate our pattern, and we need to as well spell it correctly. And here, as you can see, this include was changed to exclude, but not these two ones because there is a substring nginx on each of these lines. All right, let's go to another command now, which is the e command. And it's a pretty useful command because it inserts the output of a shell command. So, for example, For example, here I generate a UUID just before every occurrence of server. So why not? It just destroyed my file. And gen UUID gen is just a command I can do in my terminal, and it generates a UUID. So it's really cool. For example, if you want to insert something before a precise line, like let's say a line which begins by HTTP, and you want to echo FTP. Oh, as you can see, if there is an error, it will just output it in your output. So here we go. We have FTP now at the beginning of our file. If we want FTP at the 10th line, we can do that. And here we have our FTP. All right, that's all for the E command for execute. Now let's see the Q command for quitting at one point in the process when sed just go through your input. You can say, okay, at that point, you will stop everything you're doing and you're outputting what you want. I mean, you output what you have already. So, for example, if you want to print the first 4 lines of a file, it's pretty nice. So, sed will process the first 4 lines and then it will quit. With this Q command, what you can do as well is return any code, any written code you want. So for example, this still returns the first line of nginx.conf as well as the return code 50, and you can look at that if you echo this special variable, and you can see 50 as a return code of the previous command executed. If I do that again, it will be 0 because echo this variable as a return code 0. So it's pretty practical in scripts when you want to verify if one of another branch in your script was used. It can be useful. Next up, we can see the A for append and I for insert command. So the append command just append a new line after a line you've addressed. So we can do that, for example. And here I just append after HTTP this new line. Now, if you want some spaces, you could try to do that, to just align everything right, but it won't work. You need, after your command, to escape your spaces, like that. And this time, my new line is correctly indented. In the same spirit, you can use insert, so the command I, like that, and it will insert before the line you've addressed. So here I have my new include new file.conf before my pattern beginning of the line HTTP. Last command we will see in this video, the C command. The C command replaces the whole line you've addressed with the replacement you want. So for example, so here, every line which matched the pattern server are replaced with hello. And for this replace to happen, you need to use the command C. All right, last exercise, and then the video is over, unfortunately. I'm sad as much as you. So, can you output the file nginx.conf with a comment? This is an include, a very important comment to add, before each line containing include. So you can do that. Since it's before each line, you need to insert it. And here we go. If you want to have the good indentation, you need to add 2 spaces like that. And we have a very nice Nginx configuration. All right, there are many more commands. There are many more commands available for sed, but I won't cover all of them. I think with what we saw in these 2 videos, you can already do a lot of stuff in your scripts. So it's very useful to modify any input you have, and for that, to be honest, I use sed all the time. And if you want to see some practical cases, use cases in real life situation, I invite you to look at my videos about use cases. Thanks a lot for watching. I wish you a great rest of your day and see you soon.